if you're super self-aware as a person, like you like to think things through to the end, then one of the issues is that you struggle to just let things play out. And another layer to this I want to talk about is that if you struggle to let things play out, you also struggle to let things end or let things not work out when you know they're going to. What I mean by that is sometimes in life there are experiences, there are opportunities that the experience of going through them and they're actually not working out is still valuable. Sometimes even more valuable than experiences that technically, by definition, work out. For example, there's loads of people who go through experiences where they have a certain job, and when they actually talk about the job, they're like, this job was horrible. I hated this job completely. But when you actually look at how their trajectory went, you realize that that job was pivotal. Maybe they met someone who ended up becoming like a business partner for their job now, or they met someone who connected them with someone who's really important, or they met someone who connected them with the person that they end up being in a relationship with. Like, there's so many little things that contribute to your life that these moments, these experiences, the opportunities that don't end up working out often play a bigger role than we want to admit. Problem with being so self-aware is that we want to get every decision right. Because we see all this information that most people ignore, we end up wanting to use it. We're like, okay, I can see all these details. All these details must be accounted for, which makes it hard to make decisions. So, but when you do make the decision, it's usually always to not do something rather than to actually do it. That's the biggest thing I found in terms of just the level of overthinking that goes into the awareness that some people are forced to have. Because I think some people they just think their brain is just more addicted to thinking about the details of different situations, social situations, different opportunities they get, making the right decisions. I think that's my main thing. It's that because I pay so much attention to the details of things that most people have to actually force themselves to pay attention to, whereas my brain just wants to, it means that I struggle more to make bigger decisions because I'm like, I have to take everything into account. It's kind of like when something I've found is that when I'm looking at like Amazon reviews, for example, if I'm trying to buy something, I have to look at every review. I literally have to. Even if 99% of them are positive, I still have to look at the 1-star review just to see what he was cooking up, just to see if I'm the one guy. Because knowing my luck, I could be the one guy who ends up getting the faulty product that this one guy is complaining about in the reviews. Like, that's the kind of thing that you end up thinking about if you're the type who just thinks about everything, can't allow yourself to live in the moment as much as other people are able to. So it's a funny thing. I wouldn't say it's like this curse. Some people talk about it like it's a curse. But it can be a blessing and a curse. You can look at it both ways. But I prefer to just look at it as a quirk of how some of us are just made. Different people have different brains. Sometimes they work differently. Sometimes they work similarly. And those of us who are more self-aware against our will, I'm not saying that we're like naturally, well, maybe, I don't know how to explain it, but in terms of just the way that it ends up being is that we end up seeing more details, whether other people ever see them or not, is kind of irrelevant. The fact is, being super self-aware is kind of like when you notice a spider on somebody, but they haven't noticed it, except in this case, it feels like you can't really mention it because people will be like, what are you talking about? There's no spider. So it's like being able to always see an invisible spider in a situation. That's one of the ways I like to think about it. It's something that just has to be managed because, as I said before, some of the experiences in life, the ones that don't work out, are not only necessary, but really enjoyable because at the end of the day, we all want to have these memories, these experiences that we actually get to look back on and be fond of. And I think one of the biggest issues with being so self-aware that we have to learn to deal with is just not letting it get in the way of us experiencing life, experiencing fun mistakes. Because that's what everyone has. If you talk to any older person, some of the most fun stories that they have, the stories that they look back on the most fondly, are experiences where they made a huge mistake. where they made multiple huge mistakes, where they made questionable decisions. But people like us, people who like to overthink things, people who like to consider every detail and make the best decision, we actively sabotage ourselves from these sorts of experiences. We actually don't end up going through a lot of these decisions because we actually see them. We actually see the mistakes beforehand. We're like, oh, this is obviously a bad idea. But then other people, yeah, it worked out badly for some, and it works out better for others. But as I said, number one, a lot of things in life, once you know that there's a good outcome, all of the opportunity is gone. A lot of the things, like if you invested into Google before you knew that Google was going to be successful, you made a lot of money. If you invest in Google now, it's not so much, nowhere near as much as back then. Same with Tesla, same with Amazon, same with any big company that went big. People had to believe in it beforehand. And when you believe back when everyone's laughing at it and saying, oh, that's obviously a bad idea, that's never going to work, those are the people who end up getting all the returns when it actually works out. And it's kind of the same with life. There are experiences that you have to just go into it, even though you can name reasons why it wouldn't work out. You can name reasons why it makes no sense, and you have to go for it anyway. And you'll experience things that you couldn't have experienced if you just didn't go for that. If you'd gone for something that feels more safe and looks more safe and technically is more safe. And yeah, there's people who, as I said, their experiences don't work out or the decision doesn't work out. But as I said, sometimes the things that didn't work out, those things contribute to the story too. There's things that happen. Like you grow more from bad experiences. We all know this. You grow more from bad experiences, difficult experiences, than you do from good ones. So there's a lot of merit in that. There's a lot to gain from these experiences too. So the point I'm trying to make is that if you're someone who is super hyper self-aware against against your will, like you didn't choose to be this way, then we just have to learn to sometimes go against our intuition, sometimes go against what our brain is saying. Like, oh, these are the reasons why it won't work. You just have to say no. I'm just going to try anyway because the experience of it going wrong will serve me as well. It'll give me something too.